All right, let's go. This is a small claims matter. The amount is $4,500. It's a dispute over a car, some payments, and what appears to be a friendship that has gone up in flames. Ms. DiMarco, you're the plaintiff. You're suing your former friend, Ms. Harrison, for $4,500. Tell me why.
Yes, ma'am. So, Savannah and I had been best friends since high school. In March, her car broke down and she had no way to get to work. She asked me to help her buy a new car. I had savings, so I agreed to co-sign for her, but she said her credit was too bad for a loan, so I ended up putting the entire $4,500 down payment on my credit card.
That's not the whole story, ma'am. She didn't just help me. We made a deal. I was going to pay her back $300 a month. It wasn't a gift, and I did pay her back for a while.
Hold on. Let's get the basics down before we start a he said, she said. Ms. DiMarco, you put $4,500 down on a car. Whose car was it? Whose name was on the title?
Well, that's the problem. I was supposed to be on the title because the money came from me and my credit was the one that was used for the down payment. But when we went to the dealership, they said it was easier to just put it in her name since she was going to be the primary driver and make the payments.
So you gave a person with bad credit $4,500 in cash and you let them put the asset in their name only. That's not a loan. That's a donation in the eyes of the law unless you have a contract. Do you have a contract?
I have text messages, ma'am, where she agrees to pay me back $300 a month, and she says, "I promise I'll get your name on the title once I refinance." I have all of that.
But she was charging me interest. That's not what a friend does. She was treating it like a business loan, so I started treating it like a business deal.
Oh, so now it's about interest? You're in court for $4,500 and you're worried about interest? How much interest were you paying, Ms. DiMarco?
It was just the minimum payment on my credit card, ma'am. The card has a 22% APR. I wasn't trying to profit off her. I just didn't want to lose money on the interest myself. She agreed to cover the interest cost, which was about $50 a month on top of the $300 principal payment.
So the monthly payment was $350? Did you ever pay that, Ms. Harrison?
I paid for 4 months. I paid $350 in March, April, May, and June. I have bank statements showing I sent her the money. She took that money, and then in July, she came after me for more, saying the interest went up.
No, that's not why. In July, she quit her job. She told me she couldn't make the payments for a few months. I was understanding. I told her to just pay what she could. But then, in August, I found out she sold the car.
Sold it? You sold the car that you owed $4,500 on to your friend without paying her back?
I didn't owe her the full amount. I paid her salary and $400 already, and the car was in my name. It was mine. I was struggling. I lost my job. I couldn't afford the insurance or the payments. I had to sell it to avoid it getting repossessed.
Whoa, 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 back up. Repossessed? How could it be repossessed? You said you paid the down payment with Ms. DiMarco's credit card. Who financed the rest of the car?
I did, ma'am. I got a loan from a credit union for the remaining $8,000. So the car was mine, the loan was in my name. Alexis was just the down payment. She was like a private lender.
So you have a loan for $8,000. You have a debt to Ms. DiMarco for $4,500. You sell the car. How much did you sell it for?
I sold it for $7,000. I had to sell it fast. I put the $7,000 toward my $8,000 loan, and I still owe the credit union $1,000, so I'm actually still in debt.
Let me get this straight. You used Ms. DiMarco's money to buy a car. You then sold the car, took the proceeds to pay off your own loan, and left Ms. DiMarco holding an empty bag with a $4,500 credit card bill. Is that correct?
But I paid her $1,400, ma'am, so the debt isn't $4,500. It's $3,100, and I shouldn't have to pay the interest she charged me because that was unfair.
Unfair? You know what's unfair? Using your friend's money to buy an asset and then selling that asset and keeping all the money. Did you give her any of the $7,000 from the sale?
Well, no, I needed it for the credit union, but I did offer to pay her back in installments again, and she said no. She just filed this lawsuit.
Because I don't trust her anymore. She sold the car without even telling me. I found out because I saw it posted on her Instagram story. She was taking pictures with a stack of cash. I texted her asking what was going on, and she just said, "I had to do what was best for me."
Do you have that text, the one where she says she had to do what was best for her?
Yes, ma'am. I have the whole thread. I printed it out. It's in my evidence packet, page 4.
Let me see that. Ms. Harrison, I'm looking at a text from you dated August 15th that says, I had to do what was best for me, Lex. I'm sorry you feel some type of way, but I was drowning. That's what you wrote?
I was emotional. I was stressed. I didn't mean it like she took it. I meant I had to get out from under the car payment, not that I was stealing her money.
You didn't steal the money? Let's look at the timeline. You put $4,500 down with her money in February. You paid her $350 for 4 months, which totals $1,400. In July, you quit your job. In August, you sell the car for $7,000. You do not give her a single dollar from the sale. You then stop paying her. The math is very simple. How much do you think you owe her today?
I think I owe her $3,100, the original $4,500 minus the $1,400 I paid. And I don't think I should have to pay the interest she tacked on. That's an extra $200 she's suing me for.
Ms. DiMarco, you're suing for $4,500. Are you including that interest in your total?
Yes, ma'am. The $4,500 is the original down payment amount. The interest is on top of that. I'm not suing her for the interest. I'm suing her to get my original money back. The interest I've already paid on my credit card because she stopped paying is just a loss I have to take, I guess.
So you're not asking for the interest, you're asking for the principal amount of $4,500, but you've admitted she paid you $1,400. So your actual loss is $3,100. Why are you suing for $4,500?
Because, ma'am, she didn't just not pay me back. She sold the asset my money bought and kept every cent of the profit. I feel like I'm entitled to that money, because if she hadn't used my $4,500, she wouldn't have had that car to sell. She made $7,000 off the sale. She should give me my $4,500 back from that.
That's not how it works. You don't get to double dip. You don't get the car and the down payment. You made a loan. She made payments. The loan was not secured by the car because your name wasn't on the title. It was an unsecured loan between friends. That means you have a claim for the money she didn't pay back. The fact that she sold the car for a loss, a gain, or for $1 million is irrelevant to the loan agreement. The only thing that matters is how much money she owes you on the agreement. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am, I understand. It's just frustrating. I trusted her.
Trust is not a cause of action. Now, Ms. Harrison, do you have any evidence that you paid her more than $1,400? Any other payments? Cash? Anything?
No, ma'am, I only paid her the 4 months. I have the Venmo receipts for those, but I also paid for her dinner and stuff a few times when we hung out. I figured that could count toward the debt.
Did you have an agreement that dinner payments would count as debt payments? Was there a text message that said, instead of $350 this month, I'll buy your Taco Bell and we'll call it even?
No, ma'am, not specifically. It was just sort of understood.
Sort of understood doesn't pay bills. It doesn't pay my mortgage. It doesn't pay the light bill. And it doesn't pay the judgment I'm about to enter. You owe her $3,100. That's the original $4,500 minus the $1,400 you can prove you paid. Is that math something we can agree on right now?
Yes, ma'am. I agree with that.
I guess so, but what about the interest she was charging? Am I going to have to pay that too?
You already said she's not suing for it. So no, I'm not awarding interest. I'm awarding her $3,100, which is the balance of the principal. But before I do that, I want to hear one more thing. You said you were drowning. You lost your job. Did you make any attempt to give Ms. DiMarco her money back before you sold the car?
I told her I needed a break. I told her I'd pay her when I got back on my feet. She kept calling me and texting me every day. It was a lot of pressure. I felt like she was more worried about her money than our friendship.
Of course she was worried about her money. It was $4,500 she didn't have. You weren't working, you had no way to pay her back, and you were driving around in a car she paid for. And then you sold it. What did you expect her to do? Send you a thank you card?
She blocked me on everything after I asked her about the sale. I had to have a mutual friend reach out to her to ask for the money, and Savannah told her I was being a crazy bitch and to leave her alone.
Is that true, Ms. Harrison? Did you call the plaintiff a crazy bitch to a mutual friend?
I was frustrated. I was in a bad place. I shouldn't have said it. But she was harassing me.
Harassing you? Did she come to your house? Did she threaten you?
No, ma'am. I texted her maybe twice a week asking when she could pay something. I was trying to be understanding, but I was getting credit card bills with late fees on them because I couldn't afford to pay the $4,500 down payment off myself.
All right, here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a young woman who helped a friend and got burned. And I'm seeing a young woman who used a friend, sold the asset that friend paid for, and then got angry when she was asked to be accountable. I'm going to rule for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,100. That's the amount of the down payment minus the 4 payments you made. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
I'm not done. You also sold the car, and you didn't even offer her a penny of the proceeds. That's the part that makes me think you knew exactly what you were doing. You took her money, you bought an asset, you paid yourself back with her money for a few months, and then you cashed out and left her with nothing. That's not a mistake. That's a choice.
I didn't think about it like that, ma'am. I was just trying to survive. I thought she'd understand because we were friends.
Well, she didn't understand, and neither do I. So you are going to pay her $3,100. Now, I want to see if there's anything else here that might change my mind. Ms. DiMarco, you mentioned text messages. I want to see the ones from before the sale, the ones where you're discussing the agreement. Hand me the packet.
Yes, ma'am. The beginning of the thread starts on page 1. You'll see where she's asking me to help her because her car is dead on the side of the road. Then there's the screenshot of the credit card charge.
All right, I see it. Ms. Harrison, I'm looking at a text from you dated February 28th. It says, I swear on my life, Lex, I will pay you back every penny. Just give me the number and I'll Venmo you the first $300 on the first. That's your text, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. That was when I was panicking. I really did mean it at the time. I did pay her for 4 months.
I see that. But here's a text from June after you'd made your 3rd payment. Ms. DiMarco asks, hey, did you get the insurance sorted out? I just want to make sure everything is covered since the car is in your name. And your response is, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. It's my car anyway, LOL. LOL. It's my car anyway. That's what you said, correct?
I was being sarcastic. It was a joke because she was always asking about the car. I didn't mean it like that.
Sarcasm? You think it's my car anyway? LOL is sarcasm? You think that's funny? She had just paid $4,500 for that car, and you're texting her, LOL, it's my car anyway. That's not a joke. That's a statement of intent. And then 2 months later, you sold it. So now I'm thinking maybe this wasn't just a friend who fell on hard times. Maybe this was a plan.
No, ma'am, that's not true. I would never do that to her. We were best friends for 6 years. I didn't plan this. Everything just went wrong at once.
Did you offer to give her the car back when you couldn't make the payments? Did you say, hey, I can't afford this. You take the car since you paid for the down payment and I'll just give the car back to the credit union?
I didn't think she would want it. She has her own car, and it was a Honda Civic. It wasn't anything special. I just didn't see the point.
The point, Ms. Harrison, is that she had $4,500 invested in that car. When you sold it, that $4,500 should have been the first thing you paid back. Instead, you paid your own loan. That's conversion. That's taking someone else's property, their money, and using it for your own benefit. So not only do you owe her the $3,100 balance on the loan, but I'm also considering that your behavior was willful.
That's all I want, ma'am. I just want my money back so I can pay off my credit card. I don't want anything else. I don't even want the friendship back after this. I just want to be made whole.
I understand that, and I'm going to do that. But I want Ms. Harrison to understand that this isn't just a misunderstanding. This is a calculated move to take advantage of someone's trust. You had a moral obligation to pay her back before you did anything else with that car. You had a legal obligation to pay her back according to your agreement. You did neither. So the judgment is for $3,100.
I hear you, ma'am. I don't have that kind of money right now. I'm still looking for a new job. I don't know how I'm going to pay that.
Well, you should have thought about that before you sold the car and kept the cash. That's not my problem. That's your problem. Ms. DiMarco, I'm entering a judgment in your favor in the amount of $3,100. That is the balance of the original $4,500 down payment minus the $1,400 in payments made. I am not awarding any interest, costs, or fees. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Harrison, you have 30 days to pay this judgment. If you do not, Ms. DiMarco can take steps to collect it. That means she can garnish your wages, levy your bank account, or put a lien on any property you own. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am. I understand. I'll try to figure something out.
Try is not a plan. You made a promise to a friend. You broke it. You sold her car out from under her. Now you have to face the consequences. That's how it works in my courtroom. We're done here.
Thank you, ma'am.